Hi, I'm David Hobson. I'm a director of MTI Technology and I run the security practice. I first got involved in security back in 1994, just as the internet was starting to become really commercial, when clients of mine were asking for security. And from there, you just roll on in. So I've done 20 years now of digital data security. As things have changed and evolved, clients' needs have changed, and I've had to adapt with it, which has been great fun. I set up my own business in 1996, a business called Global Secure Systems, and we were acquired by MTI in July 2011. So we've been part of MTI now for 2.5 years, but in data security, I've been working there for a long time now. This grey hair is real, it's not dyed, I promise. So MTI Technologies have been around for 25 years. Originally, they were developers of storage technology. About 10, 11 years ago, they gave up the arms race that is technology and sold their IP out to EMC. At that time, they became a partner of EMC's and we're now one of the largest partners for EMC in Europe. In addition to that, they've grown out of that and run a proper data center business in that they supply Cisco UCS, VMware for the whole data center on a pallet types experience. In 2011, they acquired my business GSS to provide security on top of that. And now we have a third arm to the business, which is managed services. So we can provide you the data center, we can provide you the security, and we can manage that for you, or any element of that for you as well. As a business, MTI will provide a complete data center. There is a data center on a pallet type thought process now for people where we can provide the computing power through the Cisco UCS, the EMC storage, and the VMware for the virtualized servers. And then it's important that anybody having the data now need to make sure it's secure. So we will secure data either at rest, in motion, we'll do authentication, we'll do fraud prevention and detection. So we can provide the whole range of services for people both in the gaming industry and obviously in other industries as well. The financial sector is fairly important for us, and then we do a lot with government, both local and central. We're also probably slightly different in that we're the only security company to have a royal warrant from Her Majesty the Queen, which is rather fun. But obviously we do quite a lot in the game industry as well. I don't think there's anybody else that can provide the data center and the security together with the expertise that we have. Whilst it's easy to buy EMC storage or Cisco UCS or VMware, there's lots of suppliers. There's nobody with the security expertise to go with that. Within the security practice, we have two parts of the business. One is consulting, so we'll provide full penetration testing, application testing, PCI auditing and qualifications for the PCI, which is very important for business now, ISO 27001, and then we'll provide products and services to enforce your policy and your security to make sure that everything is then contained and looked after properly going forwards. In security in particular, we're seeing the emergence of malware and targeted attacks, and it's getting harder and harder to defend from these, and we actually mimic these for our clients as well as tests, so we can break into customers and tell them where they've gone wrong. But for sure the craft of malware is critical now, where people are targeting an individual company. It goes around and circumvents all antivirus software that's there. And anything that's signature based, where it's looking for a known attack, is almost out of date now because stuff is being aimed at you individually. So that's going to get harder and harder to detect. And we're seeing a shift in the marketplace. It's going to be more important for people to understand what's happening on their network in real time, rather than before they've put in controls like a firewall or antivirus to provide a gateway type answer to security, and that's not going to cut it anymore going forwards. There are some very clever attacks out there now, and the malware, one of our clients, for example, was targeted at a finance director looking for their passwords for their bank accounts. It's very focused, and that's going to be critical for people just to be more and more aware. You've got to know what's happening on your network in real time. And that's internally, not just customer facing. Customer facing is another problem and challenge, and fraud is obviously a challenge that's going to continue to evolve. As more money is involved, then there's more organised crime will get involved, and the whole thing will start to snowball. But the important bit is going to be for people to have a budget for security. Historically, what we've seen 20 years ago when I got involved in security, we were telling people they should be investing between 6 and 8% of their IT budget in security. They spent 1%. The net result of that is we now have the problems that we have today, and so people need to have a budget for it. It is a challenge that security is not sexy. There's no return on investment. It's a form of insurance. And if we do our job right, you will probably say, well, that was a waste of money because I haven't suffered any loss. And what tends to happen is people will shut the door once the horse is bolted. The other thing that's happened is regulation has now come into play because people haven't invested that money. So the regulators are going to make people invest. We've seen the payment card industry put in their data security standards. That continues to evolve and becomes more and more work involved for clients and people to ensure they can take card payments. We've also got new data protection laws coming in from Europe. The one that's going through at the moment, which will come into force probably next year, it may be tail end of this year, will include the ability to fine an organisation 5% of global turnover. Really are people recognising the problems that are out there, the fear, uncertainty and doubt. And if we can scare you, we can get a checkbook out and we can write another nought on the end of it. We've got to keep it real for our clients, and I think that's a problem. A lot of people in our industry are more interested in the dollar signs than actually doing the job properly. But that's really one of the challenges. We've got to make sure people recognise they've got to invest, and it is going to be reasonably significant sums of money to ensure that data is secure. But if you're going to get fined by regulators up to 5% of turnover, for a lot of online gaming companies, that 5% is their total profit wiped out in a go. In addition to that, you obviously have reputational risk. If you're known to be the website that's been hacked, wow, am I really going to bet with you? It's a problem. The other examples we've seen that we can quote today, just before Christmas, Target, the big US superstore group, were hacked. And initially they said 40 million credit cards were stolen. That's not too bad when you think there's only 60 million people live in the UK. They've now put their hand up and said, well, it's actually 110 million credit cards went, not 40 million. So now it's like twice the total population of the UK. The estimated cost of that breach will be $3.9 billion. It's a fairly significant problem. I think our sector needs to keep it real, not try and sell on fear. We need to explain to people the real challenges and problems they face. And one of the things that we're very keen on doing is making sure that we understand an organisation, we understand their infrastructure, we understand their business processes, and try and reflect that rather than us trying to force them down a road that may not be appropriate for them. They may already have some tools in their network which can be re-engineered and do the job. Let's use what's there, but let's make sure that people bring in more layers of security. It's going to be more and more critical. As more people get breached, there will be more adverse publicity, I think, and reputational risk is going to be and will continue to be very important. In the gaming sector, the denial of service attacks are very important, where people are taken offline, and that's well known in the gaming sector. And we see in other sectors like retail, they're starting to wake up to that challenge. But there'll be sort of more of the same, I think. I would think would probably include being granted the Royal Warrant. We were the first security company to get that for data security products and services, which was rather fun. We ended up in the back garden of Buckingham Palace last summer at a concert for the Jubilee, which was a lot of fun. So that's probably the best fun I've got out of being in this particular industry. Our industry is a growing industry and will continue to grow as more and more threats emerge. And I think the secret for anyone who wants to get into it is to study hard. There's a shock. But also get involved with organisations that are taking people in as trainees. We have a programme ourselves where we're trying to bring people into the industry and understand what's going on. We're trying to train more penetration testers all the time so we can find flaws before the bad guys do. So there is plenty of scope for growth in our sector, and we would encourage people to get involved. Apologies, I'm not a gamer. I work too hard to earn the money. I'm not going to give it away in that hurry. Do the lottery once in a while, and we do the Grand National, and that's about it, or a day out of the horses. I prefer the on-course betting than the online myself, I must confess. The fun of being a day out of the races, the gaming is very important, the gambling is a very important part of that. But it's the whole experience for me.